Hey, what's up YouTube? You are at the We All Juggle Knives channel. Welcome to my review of this marbles knife. It's pretty nice. It comes in that gift box. Now I think the name of this is Marbles Wildlife Collector Series Anniversary Knife, but Amazon just had it listed as Marbles Outdoor Knife. It was around $23. I will include an Amazon link if you want to pick one up. Now this knife is a slip joint, so it does not have a hard lock, right? So if you live in one of those places where there's some law against hard locks, consider this because this is not your average slip joint. It has a large blade. It's also quite wide, right? And look at the curve of that blade, kind of a Skinner type design. Right now, marbles knives, or at least their folding knives, are made in China. Yeah, that's why it's fairly inexpensive, but look at that blade. Nice, very high polish on this knife as well. And by my measure, that blade is 4.1 inches. All right, now, interesting thing about this knife, I remember Case used to produce a knife that pretty much had the identical blade shape to this, like years and years ago. Case used to make a knife like this, but they don't produce it anymore. I have seen a few of the old Case knives on Amazon, and they're currently going for $150 a piece, right? So if you don't want to buy one of those, Marbles has these for around $23. There's your size comparison with a Buck Echolite 110, which has a 3 3/4 inches blade length. This knife is way bigger than a Buck 110, which is already a fairly large folding knife. Yeah, the Marbles knife, longer blade, but also a lot wider blade and a lot more curvature, right, to the belly of that edge. And the handle is a lot bigger too. If you have large hands, definitely consider this Marbles knife. If you want a slip joint, a budget slip joint, and you have XL size hands, this would fit you very well. I mean, it's just a lot of blade. And even though it's a slip joint, it does take a lot of force to close. Like, as long as you're not trying to stab this into hard surfaces, you're relatively safe. Obviously, use common sense, but, the back spring on it is fairly heavy. Here's a close-up of the edge. All right, now this was not that sharp when I got it, but after literally only 2 minutes of touching it up, it was adequate. And here is the demo of that on the paper. Right, so there you go. So that's what you can expect after only 2 minutes. I use that. That's the Spyderco Sharp Maker. And the Spyderco Sharp Maker just works really well with this type of blade. Now, they don't list what steel this is on that box there, but it's some 400 series stainless. I can just tell by how easy it is to sharpen, and I can tell by the high polish. It takes a polish really well. So yeah, I will include a link to that Sharp Maker because it's just very useful for making budget knives usable. Alright, doing some more stuff with this knife. Now, I really don't honestly think you're going to be using this big ass slip joint as a bushcraft knife. I don't know, maybe you will, but it's highly unlikely. But I did want to show it interacting with something other than paper, and I have a lot of wood around from other reviews of that included batoning or splitting. So there it is on some really gnarly wood. That wood, we had some snow the other day, right? And then it turned to rain, and then the rain froze. So that wood has been like rained on. It's been frozen, unfrozen, frozen again a few times. It's just gnarly, nasty frozen wood. But, it's what I had around. Here's another piece of wood. Here's that edge just, carving into a random scrap of wood. So what could you use this knife for? Well, you could cut up your breakfast with it. I mean, I ain't trying to cut up no sausage. I ain't trying to dance a jig for you. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, obviously, You saw it slice the paper. If it's slicing, if it can slice like that, then yeah, you can basically cut up organic matter. Hey, isn't wood organic matter? Well, it is, but I meant soft organic matter like your lunch or some animal you hunted. But yeah, you can skin with it. I'm just going to basically review it as just like a general outdoor like folder, folding camp knife, whatever. But it's a pretty badass knife. Alright, final thoughts on this knife. Number one, it's unusually big and wide. The blade is big and wide for a slip joint. Alright, it requires about a few minutes of sharpening to get it up to par, but it sharpens up really nicely. The price is pretty good, especially considering like the out of production case knife that this pretty much copies is like $150 right now. I'll include a link to that too. I found a few that are still available, right? And if you have extra large sized hands, you'll probably really like this knife. I also think this would make a nice gift, We've got Christmas coming up. This is the kind of thing that you give to that uncle who's an outdoorsy type, and it'll help if they know how to sharpen a knife, but who's not really a steel snob. I know guys that have had a freaking buck knife for 30 years, and they couldn't tell you what steel it is, but they know how to get it sharp, right? So that kind of dude. So yeah, I like this for the price. Fit and finish it's a little bit rough, it's a little bit rough around. Like the scales and bolsters might not be 100% flush, but as you can see, it still looks pretty good. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed seeing this. Check out the links. I'll include many more links to related items. They help support the channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm out.